We're filming live from the Creative Connection event in St. Paul, Minnesota.
And we are so excited because we have designer extraordinaire Holly Becker here with us to chat it up. I'm Kim.
And I'm Chris, and you're watching The DIY Dish.
Welcome back to another episode of the DIY Dish. Now, as Chris mentioned, we're here at the Creative Connection. So if you hear a little bit of noise in the background, it's because there's a lot of buzz going on. But we are thrilled to have the amazing designer Holly Becker from Decorate blog. And not only is that one of the top design blogs out there on the web, but she also has a best-selling brand new book called Decorate.
Yes.
So welcome, Holly, to
our
show.
Thank you. Talk about best-selling. I mean, we're not just saying just, you know,
a few copies.
A few copies. 3 times sold out in the U.S.
And they're doing a 4th reprint.
Yeah. Oh my
goodness. And the book is called Decorate.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about the book.
Okay, well, it's 1,000 ideas for every room in the home.
1,000.
So it's actually not a book about a certain style, but it's more about a book of ideas. So you can have any type, there's many different types of homes represented in there, but it's really, we're pulling out the different ideas from those homes. So whether it be a certain way that homeowners displaying art, or a way that they're doing their flooring, or maybe perhaps something in the bathroom. It's just all about celebrating all the different things that you can do in a home, no matter what your style is.
Okay.
And we have 75 contributors to the book that I personally interviewed, from bloggers to Nate Berkus.
Nice.
So there's all these different opinions sprinkled throughout that also helps us to realize that we actually, there's no one rule for decorating. It's more, it's all about sort of going out there and figuring out what there is, what we have at our disposal, and then how we can personally make that our own and translate that into our space.
Nice. I love that, because you're talking about some design concepts and you're helping others to be able to look at the book, and it's not a cookie cutter approach necessarily. It's more like, you know what, these are ideas to inspire you. You can do this. Anybody can do this.
And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money, right?
No, absolutely not. We actually celebrate mixing high and low. So if there's something that you have a dream item that perhaps you've saved up for, that's fine.
Yes.
But it's also okay to put that with items that you find from a big box store, or things that you found on the street, or things that maybe you're recycling.
Yeah.
And it's also good to kind of go shopping in your own home. So if there's something in one room that's not really working anymore, you can move it to another.
Exactly.
Okay.
Just take a second look at things.
Right.
Fantastic.
Yep.
So we asked on our Facebook page if people had any questions, and one of them was that they live in an apartment, and this would go for anyone living in a rental home or an apartment where you really can't, there's not a lot you can do with that space, but they want to still make it their own. What kind of advice would you give them?
Well, I happen to have an apartment myself. I don't own my flat where I live in Germany, and it's really interesting because I think you're actually driven to be more creative when you have less room or less space to be creative. And I don't mean floor space. I mean, you can't change the ugly wallpaper, you can't change the shag carpeting, so what do you do?
Yeah.
So I think the thing with that is you really have to find a jumping off point. So when you're going to go into an apartment, you have to find what the flaws are and what are the things that you can't change. You can't focus on those. Find them and then put them out of your head and try to focus on what you can change.
Sure.
And normally that's with what you can bring in. And try to, if you have something really ugly in your home, like, you know, that green shag, that avocado linoleum, or that really bad carpet, take the eye away from where that is and take your focal point into something higher. For instance, if you have really rubbish flooring, then try to draw the eye into maybe artwork or something that's higher up, so that the first thing a person sees in the room isn't the flooring, it's something higher up.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
That's great.
So decorating can be very overwhelming for people.
Yes.
And if they're saying, you know what, I've been sitting in this stark white room for 5 years because I just don't know where to start.
Sometimes it paralyzes a
Yes.
person. They just don't know where to begin, so they don't do anything at all.
Yeah,
What's
so
your
what you
advice
do?
there?
Well, I call it analysis paralysis. We analyze things so much that we become paralyzed and we don't move forward. So when I think about decorating, you have to actually start to put together an idea so that then you don't get paralyzed from having too many ideas.
Sure.
I think these days on the internet internet, we're just bombarded with so much that we sometimes forget what our personal style is. And even though, you know, I love the internet, right? I do think it's important to pull away some time and to actually sit down and think about your personal style. So with that, I brought a few things. And I'm just going to talk really briefly about how I do it. What I do is I find what I call a jumping off point. A jumping off point basically means is that when you're going to do a room, even if it's a room that you already have all the furniture for. So let's pretend that you have a room and you already have all the furniture, but you hate how it looks. You're sick of the decoration of the room. Well, you're not going to change all your furniture, but what you can do is change the accessories, the colors, and things like that. So you need a jumping off point. So let's say you have a stack of fabrics in your home. You have to go for what your eye is really drawn towards. And this is what you do. You find your jumping off point. For instance, if I really love this, I start to identify, well, what do I love about it? Well, for me personally, I love the paisley. It looks ethnic inspired. It looks vintage, and I love the palette. So this would be my jumping off point. And I would say, okay, now I'm going to build a room off of all this, which basically means...
does that mean you're pulling out the colors?
Exactly. You're pulling out the colors, the pattern, even, I mean, this is more retro than ethnic, of course, but it works because there's this, you're pulling out the pinks and you're pulling out the navy. Okay, so there you could have new throw pillows. Not that you're going to use these fabrics for the room, but you're translating now. You're trying to pull from this to figure out what can I do with this palette and with this particular look. So that's what I call a jumping off point. And then you know, maybe you can even use other things. You don't have to use fabric. You may find pretty buttons that would inspire a room palette. You may have art.
Lots of different mediums.
Any medium. Any medium. Even clothes. You may have a blouse that you love. That blouse you could try to translate into a new room scheme.
Interesting. So is this where the idea of the mood board comes in?
Yes, absolutely.
Tell us about that. That's one of people's favorite items, I think, in your Decorate book is the mood board. Tell us about it.
Well, with mood boards, it's funny because lots of people get intimidated by them because you think they have to be perfect. My mood boards are actually very conceptual and very freestyle and fun. So what I would do is I would start to pin things up on a mood board. I'd start with a floor plan. And then from there, I just work out the elements in the room that I'd want to change. For instance, if I wanted to reupholster one chair or maybe paint something in the room, I'd start to write all that down and then just pull in different items to put on the mood board. And that helps you too to avoid analysis paralysis because once you kind of have everything out, then you have something to work off of. So even if you see something else, you know, on the internet, you're like, no, this is what I really like to do. And you can do mood boards very large. You can do them small so that they're portable and you can match everything in stores. You can do binders. There's no one way to do a mood board.
Well, and I also noticed in the book that even as you're traveling, you know, pick up things from your travels that make you feel good and put them on your mood board.
Absolutely.
I love that.
And you're looking for different scales, different patterns, I would assume. And all bringing it together.
Absolutely. Bringing it together.
Wow. That sounds fantastic.
Fantastic.
Wow. Do you have any other parting advice for people who are trying to decorate something?
Yes, I do. I actually think when it comes to decorating, the most important thing is to make sure that you're infusing your personality and your style into the room. I think what is the best compliment is when someone comes to your home and they say, "That's so you." That is so you. That is such a great compliment. Because if it's so you, it means that you've done a good job in decorating your home. It actually is, to me, one of the most inspiring, encouraging things when I hear that personally. And also too, to not get caught up in thinking that you have to follow trends or that there is one way. It really, I think the best way is really your way, and just kind of taking all the information and advice that you're getting in books like Decorate or in television shows or whatever, putting it through your own funnel and then seeing what comes out.
Fantastic. That is excellent advice for us. Excellent advice for a lot of people out there, I'm sure. And so we appreciate you taking a few minutes of your day. I know you are so busy. You've had a lot going on. Holly was a phenomenal speaker here at the Creative Connection Conference, and I think everyone left feeling a little bit, you know, had a little more spring in their step, thinking, you know what, I'm going to try one thing when I go home to make my space a little bit better. So we appreciate you taking the time to do that. Be sure and check out more ideas for all your decorating endeavors at Holly's blog. Go ahead and tell us what that is.
It's Decorate with the number 8 blog.com.
Perfect. Decorateblog.com.
Yes.
That's the number 8. And you can be sure to check out more things also of the DIY dish. So we hope you enjoyed this section, and we hope that you felt that creativity was served. Bye-bye.
Bye.